Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Debt-Free Millennials Income Report. I am going over September's income report. This was an insane month. I will get into the details in this video. Hey guys, it's Justine with Debt-Free Millennials, the channel to help you crush your debt and live payment free and potentially run your own business online like I've been doing. This is my 5th year of business, and this year I've documented and probably said in every single episode this year is it has been an up and down roller coaster in terms of the amount of money that I've been making this past year. September was no exception. So let's just go ahead and get into the income and I'll share how much I made. For client work, I brought in $3,275. This includes any freelancing work, and then also I lumped in sponsorships because as I'm looking at client-facing content that I produce, kind of just made sense to lump those two things together. Affiliates brought in $498. Digital products brought in $465. And YouTube brought in $2,659, which means my total for September was $6,897 in revenue. Now, this number is reflective of anything before taxes are applied and before expenses are applied. Speaking of expenses, I had a ton for September. Let's go ahead and jump into my business budget and I'll show you what those expenses are. This month was very crazy in terms of expenses because I traveled to Orlando for FinCon 22, which is a big conference for personal finance influencers and media. It's the only conference since I started running DFM that I have attended as part of my business. So there were a lot of expenses associated with that. We'll just go down through my normal expenses. Canva, actually, is this correct? Did Canva go through? No, oh my God, Canva. I paid that subscription last month. So now I'm just doing my sinking fund. So, whew, that's good. Okay, all of this stuff are just my sinking funds that I just set aside money for every single month until I actually pay that annual subscription. My office budget, I'm still paying for my WeWork days. Since I moved up to LA, there's actually a WeWork really close by that I have been working at, but I'm starting to think about using some resources here in my neighborhood that are free, and my contract with WeWork ends in November. So I'm going to let the contract expire at the end of November, and then December and January, I'm going to test run working at home and working at some free centers around here and see if that's going to make a difference. And that way I can save a little bit of money, $265. Printing, I spent $27 printing a media kit handout for FinCon. Money well spent. It was so cute. I loved how it ended up turning out. And then for my labor contractors, I just had my regular editing, my edit video, and my thumbnail guy. And then I also, you'll see down here at the bottom, travel and conferences. Wow, $2,655.48. I put a note here, much higher than I expected. Before, I was saving about $100 per month for travel and conferences, which is about $1,200 for the year, and I blew past that. So I should budget a lot more money for FinCon, mainly because the ticket prices for FinCon have gone up. They're still cheap for all that you get, but ticket prices have gone up, and then airfare and hotel is always going to be a huge expense, and then food, you have to pay for all of your food while you're there. That was a lot higher, and that's what contributed to such a high expense month, close to $4,000 in money spent or saved in my business, which meant I set aside about $1,000 for taxes, and my after-tax take-home was just $1,800, which is super low for me. I usually can do a lot higher than that, but there's some things that you should know about September that caused me to have a not so good month. let's get into the obstacles, because that was a big thing that happened in September. So I did attend FinCon, which was amazing. That's part of my wins. However, because I attended the conference for a full week, I wasn't really able to work. I had videos scheduled out, but I wasn't really on top of producing content like I am when I'm at home. Also, the day that I landed back in San Diego after the conference, I tested positive, unfortunately, for COVID. And I think that's just the nature of the beast when you go to large conferences like this. And I think there was about 1,700 people in attendance. I'm in Florida, nobody's wearing masks. And I went to Disney World. I was not wearing a mask at Disney. And I was like, I remember thinking to myself, God, it would be a miracle if I got back home and didn't have COVID. No such thing. So because I got COVID and my symptoms started mild, and then by day 3, it was really bad, and then I slowly got it out of it, I was not working. Also, we moved from San Diego to LA shortly after I returned from the conference. So there was a lot of things, just a lot of moving pieces, literally. And also my daughter was without childcare. So I really had to step up while Kyle was transitioning into his new job. I had to step up and say, okay, I need to stop working, and I need to make sure that my child's needs are met and that we find childcare for her. Thankfully, we found a new nanny to help her with this transition in LA. I'm hoping it's working out. Quinn is going through a major growth spurt, so that's been kind of derailing a lot of just routine and feeling settled. So it's hard for me as her mom to watch her struggle like that and also focus on my business. So all of that said, September was just like, I hardly worked. So to know that I made close to 7K and I hardly worked, I'd say that that's actually a pretty good month. So speaking of wins, let's talk about wins. My book was published in September. September 13th was my launch day. The book officially released on Amazon. You can purchase that book for yourself. It's the Investing for Kids activity book. This is specifically written for 8 to 12-year-olds, but this very well works for high school age students. And I feel like this is a great refresher for parents as well. That will always be linked in the description box below for you to check out. Holidays are coming up, so this would make like a great stocking stuffer gift for your favorite kid in your life. So that happened shortly after I returned from FinCon. By the way, FinCon was a huge success. I got paired up randomly with the best mastermind group. Like, so many cool business owners in the FinCon community that are working on really awesome things and also wanting to scale their business much like I do. And so it was amazing to hang out with these individuals. So that will be continuing. I also spoke at FinCon. I gave a presentation on how to monetize and grow on YouTube, especially if you're a YouTuber who has like less than 10,000 subscribers. How do you scale that up? So that talk actually went really well. I got a lot of questions at the end of my presentation, so I was like on fire. I was like, I love this. I could definitely do this again. So I gained clarity, also going back to that mastermind group. I gained clarity from that group as to what my next endeavor should be. A lot of this year was spent focusing writing the book, and then also the back half of this year has been marketing and promoting the book. Now that that's pretty much gone to bed, I'm like, what's next? What do I need to be focusing on? And it's interesting because I'll share this with you. I wasn't planning on sharing this, but I actually had a company reach out to me that I've worked with in the past. They're like, hey, we'd love for you to write some blog posts for us again. I'm like, cool, yeah, sure. My rates are a lot higher than they used to be because I'm a published author. I'm also a speaker. I've gained a lot more credibility and expertise in the last, 3 years since we worked together. Well, I was doing that and having that conversation and also talking about, you guys have heard me mention this corporate program where I was talking about this money masterclass or this money workshop that I want to promote to corporations, mainly like SMBs, like small, medium-sized businesses. And it's interesting because my mastermind group was like, sounds like this is what you want to do. And basically this is public speaking. And basically this is like budget boot camp, the one-on-one budget coaching that I do privately at a larger scale, slightly larger scale. I'm like, oh yeah. So it's interesting that I took this freelancing call because my gut told me that, hey, this would probably take you away from the corporate program idea. But also in the back of my head, I'm like, money has just felt so like scarce right now that I'll take anything. And it's interesting because yesterday they emailed me back and they said, hey, unfortunately, we can't pay your rates and we're gonna go in a different direction. And I didn't feel sad or bad about that. It was almost like the universe or God giving me clarity, like, hey, I know that was an opportunity for you that you were like open to, but I really want you moving back over in this direction that was getting you really excited. So there you go. A lot of business is also like listening to your instinct and figuring out what piece of your business is going to light you up the most. And I feel like the corporate program has been so scary and so unknown to me that I'm like, oh yeah, it's there, I'll work on it, but I know this better. I know freelancing better. I know how to write blog posts better. It's still nudging me towards that unknown. I won't be able to scale or grow if I don't tap into that unknown. I think I need to get to work on that. So that is a look at my September income report and just my thoughts on where the business is headed in general. Just know that I will always be right here on YouTube giving you personal finance advice, helping you crush debt and live payment free, and then also talking about my business as well. I'll catch you in the next episode.